Hello, everybody. So this is a new series I'm going to be starting, and it's going to be basically a daily series where I'm going to be looking at the messages that about from a book called The Daily Stoic. I think there's going to be show up like reversed on the video, but maybe. But I'll put a picture up on screen so you guys can see it. But it's called The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. And it basically takes some of the words of wisdom from three ancient Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. And it basically takes the quotes and messages that they had, and then it applies it to our lives today. You might be thinking like, okay, what kind of wisdom do they have to offer? And that's a good point, because they obviously weren't living in the same times we were. But to be honest with you, a lot of the messages that are a lot of the struggles that the ancients had to deal with, we also have to deal with. Like, struggles we have to deal with people will never go away. They'll always be probably pretty similar to what people had to deal with throughout all of history. So that's one thing. Getting money, getting fit, all those things, they all are always going to be parts of humanity. So these figures that we're going to be looking at are just some of some of the people throughout history who have mastered these Stoic tenets the best. And I'll give you, so you can probably see the date of this video when it was published. It should be published February 1st. So this book has 365 or 366 meditations, which are really just days and messages. So it would make sense to do this every day throughout the entire year. Obviously, I'm starting this about a month late. So you guys are gonna, if you guys want to, play catch up, you can. I'll give you a brief catch up, like a brief summary of the first month, which is just so the Stoic philosophy in general, what it talks about is like focusing on like isolating the things that you can control and realizing that you don't need to worry about things that are out of your control. So, and one thing that's really interesting that it says is that the only thing you do truly have control over is your mind. You don't even have control over your body. You don't have control over your work or your money or the things that you do. All of these things can be taken away from you or changed. But the only thing that you do have control of is your mind. So that's really the main focus of Stoicism, is learning how to control your mind. Yeah, that's like the basic tenets that it talks about. I can breeze through some of the main things. One of the things that it suggests to do is journaling. I've heard from a lot of people that journaling is a good idea. Like, I think Hamza, if you guys know him, he talks about that. And journaling is a great practice. I think you should do. Funnily enough, I haven't started doing that yet, so that's probably something I should be starting, but I haven't done that yet. So we're gonna have to get to that pretty soon when I start that up. I'm actually in semester break right now, between semesters, so it'll be a great time to start that. And look at this. So the first meditation I have on January 1st comes from Epictetus. And he says, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. So yeah, that's really the main essence of Stoicism. Yeah. So three key things you need to do in life are control your perceptions, direct your actions properly, and willingly accept what's outside of your control. So that's basically the summary of what Stoicism is, and what it's been talking about for the past month. I'm going to start on February 1st, which is today, the time that this video is being recorded. I don't know if it's when you're watching this, but just keep in, okay, so our start now. So February 1st, for the hot-headed man. This is coming from Marcus Aurelius, from Meditations. And he says, keep this thought handy when you feel a fit of rage coming on. It isn't manly to be enraged. Rather, gentleness and civility are more human and therefore manlier. A real man doesn't give way to anger and discontent, and such a person has strength, courage, and endurance. Unlike the angry and complaining, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Now, I empathize with this a lot because sometimes it's hard to control my emotions. I find that sometimes I just feel like I'm a slave to my emotions, which you should be trying to get as far away from as possible. The only thing, I really agree with this. The only thing I would say I don't really see is when he says that gentleness and civility are more human and therefore manlier. I mean, I really from the dawn of humanity, whether or not you believe in God, or whatever religion you believe in, or if you just believe in evolution and stuff, humanity has generally from the onset been pretty barbaric, and have been slaves to their emotions and their instincts. And civility and gentleness have been products of civilization. So that's really the only thing that I don't see is really, I haven't really seen when he says that. But other than that, I agree with everything in its totality. So then we're going to move on to what the book says. It says, why do athletes talk trash to each other? Why do they deliberately say offensive and nasty things to their competitors when the refs aren't looking? To provoke a reaction. Distracting and angering opponents is an easy way to knock them off their game. Try to remember that when you find yourself getting mad, anger is not impressive or tough. It's a mistake. It's weakness. Depending on what you're doing, it might even be a trap that someone laid for you. Fans and opponents called boxer Joe Louis the ring robot because he was utterly unemotional. His cold, calm demeanor was far more terrifying than any crazed look or emotional outburst would have been. Strength is the ability to maintain a hold of oneself. It's being the person who never gets mad, who cannot be rattled, because they're in control of their passions, rather than controlled by their passions. So, I agree with this wholeheartedly. As I said before, I've generally struggled a lot with my emotions in the past, and so it's good to always try to focus on isolating those emotions and making sure they don't take control of you. So one thing I want to comment out specifically that I saw when I read this today was that you see a lot in the manosphere and boy culture that being getting angry and basically I don't know, becoming the sigma or the alpha and dominating your opponents and doing all that kind of stuff is seen as manly and good. And it's just not, okay, I'll use the term degenerate because I use it in the literal sense I use the literal meaning, which is to degenerate, which is the opposite of generate. When I say it's degenerative, I mean it is societally degenerative, and because anger is just not a positive emotion unless it's really righteous anger. Even still, I wouldn't really say that it's beneficial in most cases. Anger is almost never beneficial, and people I don't know why it's become. I mean, I can kind of see why, because it's just a reaction to the world. To be anger is a natural emotion, so it's just a reaction to hardship. But the fact that it's oftentimes glorified, I would say, isn't really that good of a thing for our culture to be moving in. So just keep that in mind. Don't try to let anger take control of you. I know it's sometimes it can feel like therapeutic to be angry at people in your life, at yourself, especially yourself. Sometimes people don't realize, but being angry at yourself is not good. Even like, sure, like you might think that, oh yeah, I shouldn't be angry at other people, but I can be angry at myself. That's not a good idea. That's not, you shouldn't let that idea float around in your head, because being angry at yourself just lowers your self-esteem. You should always try to, act with a cool head, So, yeah, just remember, remember that when you start to get angry, remember that it is really an unmanly behavior, and obviously this is not just talking to men, it's unwomanly as well. So yeah, just whenever you get angry, remember that it's not going to be productive, and whether or not it's justified, it's better for yourself and those around you if you try to calm down those emotions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video. If I don't, then I wish you a good rest of your life. See you.